Hi, I'm Sarah from The Oncoming. Pleasure to speak to you tonight. How does it feel to be nominated for this award and be on the red carpet?
It feels brilliant because there's so many films that I love here and so many filmmakers that I really respect and admire, and so to be positioned next to them and to be celebrating with them, it truly is an honour, and I'm excited to be here at the BIFAs. I've had a film nominated before but I've never been, so I kind of feel like celebrating independent film is great at this moment, and seeing everyone come back to cinema, you know. Yeah.
And for people who aren't familiar with the film, can you just give us a brief introduction and what they can expect when they watch it?
Sure. It's called Good Luck to You, Leo Grande. It's about a woman who hires a sex worker to have good sex for the first time in her life. That woman is played by Emma Thompson, and the gorgeous Daryl McCormack comes in as Leo Grande, and they spend a whole lot of time in a room exploring intimacy, physical and emotional. That's the movie.
And it does feel like one of these films that is sort of breaking boundaries in a sort of, quiet, slightly comedic kind of way. What was the inspiration behind it, and why was this an important story for you to tell on the big screen?
The writer that came up with it, Katie Brandt, who's here as well, I think she was just interested in seeing these two people in a room together speaking, people that you might not see all the time, next to each other. I was also interested, in exploring intimacy and seeing like if we could debunk some of the ideas and the expectations that we have around that. And then, of course, it's comedy, but underneath is all this stuff about body image and shame and things that I think are really important for us to be speaking about. So putting them in a comedy means that we can speak about them in a kind of light-hearted way and not get bogged down, you know?
And I mean, having these two incredible actors, Emma Thompson, Daryl McCormack, the chemistry that flies between them, also doing some quite tricky scenes to film. What were some of the highlights and challenges along the way?
I loved working with those two all the time. We had a great rehearsal week where we spent a lot of time together, and we explored things physical, a lot of physical stuff. They had a lot of text to deal with, so they were sort of managing that. But it was a tiny little film crew, so the joy of it was just being so close to each other and to really being connected and working out what we wanted to say and choosing together what we wanted to give to an audience. And so that was heaven.
And what do you think people can take away from watching it? And maybe there is something, I think these stories, can have universal appeal, but particularly for women. And having that moment of why do we have this bizarre relationship with our bodies? And why are we so conditioned to almost kind of have this kind of loathing? And maybe by having films like this and particularly exposing younger women to watching it, maybe hopefully we can actually make things change. I don't know.
Yes. It's such a waste, isn't it? The time that we spend thinking about our beautiful bodies and criticizing them. And yet we are all told that our bodies are not enough. They're not good enough, and we should be ashamed of them. And what that leads to is us not connecting with other people, us limiting ourselves all the time and limiting what we can do. So I find it really sad. And the idea that we might strip that away, that we might find pleasure in our bodies and enjoy them and recognize them for what they do, I mean, that's the core and the heart of what's underneath this film. And it's really hard for us all to do because we're really soaked in a culture that tells us this, that our bodies are not enough. So finding freedom from that takes some work. But hopefully, if I was to say anything to someone younger, it would be just don't waste time on this. Just don't waste time on hating your body. It's gorgeous. It does all these things for you,
And, how do you see the importance of things like these independent film awards, and how do you see the health of the industry in general for independent film, but particularly here in the UK?
I'm delighted that some of the films that are nominated in the BIFAs, I love them. I've seen them in the cinema. I just feel like they're the kinds of films I long for. And so to be sitting next to some of those films and those filmmakers, I feel really honoured. And I'm just so happy that audiences are coming back to the cinema, seeing this kind of film, not just huge, vivacious films, but also small films where we get inside the characters and the thoughts and the feelings in a more nuanced way. I just feel like that's brilliant, and I feel honoured to be here.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. I really enjoyed the night. Good luck. Thank you.